I supported Logan for 5 years, but because I was an orphan, he didn't want to give me an engagement ring fund when it came time to discuss marriage. So he ignored the $6,666 engagement ring fund I proposed and bought half a bag of fake money to burn for my parents, and even left the offering at the wrong grave. He said the engagement ring fund was for the bride's parents, to repay them for raising me, and that he respected the customs, having already given millions, a huge amount, in the most extravagant engagement ring fund. Soon after, he cheated on me with Isabella, his white moonlight, who suddenly returned after disappearing for several years, and broke up with me. He borrowed from every relative and friend, and even applied for his research grant early, to give Isabella a $660,000 engagement ring fund. Logan bragged about it, saying, "For the right person, it's always worth it." But on the wedding day, his Isabella disappeared again. Coming back late from overtime, I found Logan fast asleep. Dragging my tired body, I made a bowl of instant noodles to fill my stomach. While helping him pick up his phone that had fallen under the bed, I accidentally discovered a post he had secretly published online asking for advice about the engagement ring fund. "My girlfriend is an orphan, should I give her an engagement ring fund?" At that moment, I felt a heavy weight on my chest. I saw many netizens cursing him. "She's already an orphan, and now even you, the family she chose, are bullying her. I oppose this marriage. You could have chosen not to give the engagement ring fund, but you shouldn't specifically withhold it because she's an orphan." Logan, having become the target of public criticism, couldn't bear the embarrassment. With nothing better to do, he started replying to netizens one by one, talking about how difficult his life was, and not forgetting to slander me with veiled insults. He replied to nearly 200 comments. Turns out, when he told me on the phone that he was busy and couldn't pick me up from my late shift, he was actually busy with this. Looking at the man sleeping and snoring in front of me, I couldn't help but feel lost. I had been with Logan for 5 years, supporting all our expenses alone, yet he kept delaying talking about marriage. It wasn't until recently, when Logan saw the pregnancy test that Emily, Sarah's friend, had prankishly slipped into my pocket after finding out she was pregnant, and mistakenly thought I was pregnant, that he finally remembered to propose. I knew he didn't have much money, so when he asked about the engagement ring fund, I casually mentioned $6,666 as a symbolic gesture for good luck. Turns out, Logan's silence back then was because he didn't want to give it at all. Deep down, was I really that worthless in his heart? I pulled the blanket/comforter over myself, trying to cool down my rising temper. I didn't plan to bring up the engagement ring fund again, but that post felt like a wall between us, suffocating me. Early in the morning, Logan, with a mysterious look, drove me to the cemetery, saying he had a surprise for me. Then, he pulled half a bag of fake money from the car, claiming it was the engagement ring fund for my family. He seemed quite pleased with his clever move, and busied himself drawing a circle on the ground in front of the grave and began to leave flowers. He said he wanted to use this unique millions, a huge amount, engagement ring fund to repay my deceased parents for raising me. Standing nearby, I was tearing up from the smoke, from burning, of the leaf flowers, but Logan got up, hugged me, his eyes full of affection. "Cassidy, don't be too touched. It's what I should do." Just as I was feeling nauseated and wanting to throw up, Logan's phone text message notification sounded. He glanced at it and casually put the phone back in his pocket. But I noticed something unusual. The man in front of me was trembling, the corners of his eyebrows involuntarily lifting. He only did that when he was extremely excited. When I asked him what was wrong, Logan just said it was junk mail. I didn't believe him, but I nodded without calling him out. Afterward, Logan was mumbling something under his breath. He seemed focused, but I could tell his mind was elsewhere. After burning the paper, Logan didn't kneel down and kowtow, but just clasped his hands together and bowed towards the grave. He always said, "A man shouldn't grovel easily," see remarks. I really wanted to remind him. He left the offering at the wrong grave. I had brought him to my parents' grave several times, but I couldn't bring myself to interrupt him, just watched his performance quietly. I actually never intended to ask Logan for an engagement ring fund. Having lost my parents at a young age, I grew up relying on the kindness of others. I used the money I earned from work to give back to those people. Even if Logan gave me money for the engagement ring fund, it would just be moving money from one pocket to the other, ultimately returning to him. It was just a formality in the end. What I cared about more was Logan's attitude towards me. Back then, I used my scholarship to support both of us through college. And for his dream of graduate school, I gave up my grad school application spot and found a job right after college to earn money and support him. He always got money from me for his daily expenses, but I knew he secretly saved the $20,000 research assistant stipend. So, proposing the $6,666 as an engagement ring fund earlier was just a test of his sincerity towards me. Turns out, it wasn't a lack of sincerity, his heart had simply gone bad. He could have chosen not to give me anything, and even doing nothing would have been better than cleverly using fake money as the engagement ring fund. I couldn't help but wonder, if my parents were still alive, would he dare to bully me like this? This familiar face I saw every day, I don't know when, started to show a hint of unfamiliarity that I couldn't understand. Just as we were about to drive back, Logan's phone rang suddenly. He glanced at the phone, his eyebrows curved, full of suppressed surprise. He first subconsciously looked at me, then the corner of his mouth couldn't help but curl into a smile. Logan covered his phone with his hand and walked away carefully to answer it. We had no secrets between us. We never avoided each other when taking calls or sending text messages. This scene couldn't help but stir up long-buried memories. And this signature move was exclusive to when he was dealing with that woman, Isabella. Logan was on the phone for a full half hour. He stood there, constantly kicking his right foot, turning the small mounds in front of other people's graves into pits. He was laughing innocently, like a child, completely forgetting that I hadn't had breakfast yet, and was about to be late for my office/workplace, and the lab experiment he had scheduled with Professor Miller. In 8 years, I had rarely seen him so genuinely happy. After hanging up, Logan finally remembered I was there. He apologized, kissed me on the forehead, and said Professor Miller had an urgent matter he needed to deal with, so he wouldn't be able to drop me off at the office/workplace. He told me to take the bus back to work, but he knew I got the worst motion sickness on the bus. Without waiting for me to say anything, Logan eagerly sped away in the car. By the roadside in the winter cemetery, only the shivering me was left, along with the dry, yellow dead leaves stirred up by the car, a scene of disarray. I opened my phone and, sure enough, found a brand new social media post, e.g., Facebook/Instagram, update. Back from overseas, anyone willing to pick up this little darling? On the bus. Already on an empty stomach, the crowded, bumpy rush hour bus made my stomach churn violently, wanting to throw up. Added to that, it was my period, and the pain in my abdomen flared up. I felt completely disoriented, like a small boat on a turbulent sea, ready to capsize at any moment. My thoughts drifted back to the past and the dizziness. 8 years ago, during high school. Back then, Logan and I weren't dating. For 3 years of high school, Logan was my desk mate. He was the outgoing school heartthrob, I was the introverted bookworm. Everyone said we were childhood sweethearts, a match made in heaven. But I knew that the person Logan liked back then wasn't me. It was Isabella from the class next door. Logan was very outgoing publicly, but only when facing his crush did he become exceptionally shy. He asked me to help him write many love letters, and I even delivered them for free. Back then, he was completely infatuated with this girl. I remember during a practice test, Logan secretly asked someone to find out Isabella's seat number in the exam room. The day before the exam, when checking out the room, he secretly put a class ring engraved with his name and a heart in Isabella's exam desk drawer. You have to know, that class ring was bought with the money he had saved by pinching pennies for half a year. At that time, I was touched by his silly sincerity. I once asked him why he didn't just confess if he liked her. Logan smiled bitterly, saying that if he confessed and failed, he wouldn't even be able to be friends with her. But what he didn't know was that Isabella didn't like him at all, and wouldn't consider him a friend. They were destined not to be on the same path. As a messenger, I knew more about Isabella than the smitten Logan. Every love letter from Logan would only be used by her as something to show off, to grab attention, and then casually discarded after use. Her occasional greetings to Logan were just playing hard to get, keeping him on the hook. She was very good at crafting her public image, portraying herself as a sweet school beauty pursued by many school heartthrobs but untouched by any of them. In front of people, she was the popular commoner school beauty. Behind the scenes, she would get into luxury cars, frequent various luxury goods venues, and often check into hotels with different rich young men. Isabella came from a poor family, and she wanted to use her beauty to gain wealth and rise in status. And Logan was just good-looking, poor and struggling, so how could Isabella genuinely be interested in him? There's always the Cinderella and Prince story, but who has ever written about the romance between a poor scholar and a girl? I kindly warned Logan, but he didn't listen, and almost turned against me over it back then. Later, Logan saw Isabella flirting with one rich second-generation student after another from the school, walking hand in hand into the woods. Only then, after a month of being down, did he finally give up. It was me who stayed by his side, helping him slowly recover. After I got off the bus, I threw up by the roadside for a while before staggering to the office/workplace. Because I was late, I missed out on the $1,000 perfect attendance bonus for the month. Also, because I missed the team meeting, a good project that was supposed to be mine went to someone else. But I had no mind for work at the moment. I had Isabella's WeChat, social media contact, added back in high school. The school's famous bookworm back then, was worth her connecting with. Even Logan didn't know I still kept this unfamiliar contact. And Isabella, for some reason, hadn't blocked me. I opened my phone and scrolled through Isabella's latest social media post, e.g., Facebook/Instagram, update again. Years later, Isabella had changed from her youthful campus days, now mature and charming, very womanly. Dressed in luxury goods, it must have cost tens of thousands. Traveled across the ocean to see you, didn't expect to see the person I wanted to see most at the airport. Still my favorite 999 roses. Long time no see, Logan. The photo showed a tall, handsome man warmly embracing Isabella. The man's back was to the camera, his face unclear, but I knew it was Logan. Because, on the cuff of his pants, there was a cartoon pig, a fat one with wings, that I had embroidered stitch by stitch. A large bouquet of roses with thorns was placed in the trunk of the car, vibrant and beautiful, like clusters of burning love, dazzling. It stung my eyes. In the years I was with Logan, he sent me many flowers, but never roses. He said back then that everything in the past was buried in roses. But he clearly knew that among flowers, I only loved roses. To avoid provoking Logan, after we got together, I even gave up my hobby of arranging roses, trying my best not to let roses appear in our lives. Didn't expect that years of companionship, in the end, couldn't compete with a single call from the white moonlight who suddenly appeared. A man who's been raised is not even as good as a dog, at least a dog is loyal and won't betray you. When I got back to the rental apartment after working overtime, it was already past 10 at night. The apartment was cold. Logan hadn't returned yet, and he hadn't called or even sent a text message. Before, he always checked in, a real warm guy. If he came home late, he would also explain and report in advance. Everything was fine before today, but as soon as that woman appeared, our years of orderly life were instantly shattered. Having not eaten all day, I still couldn't eat. The dizziness lingered in my stomach, refusing to leave. But I still cooked myself a bowl of instant noodles, because today was my birthday. Before, I actually never celebrated my birthday, and no one celebrated it for me. After being with Logan, he celebrated my birthday every year, bought birthday presents, took me out for a candlelight dinner. Even though it was all my money, I was happy to do it. But just as I was gradually getting used to and enjoying this pampered happiness, it was suddenly taken away from me. Unconsciously, I started scrolling through social media posts, e.g., Facebook/Instagram, again. Isabella's social media post, e.g., Facebook/Instagram, was updated again. A sophisticated upscale restaurant. She was having dinner with a gentleman who wasn't home. The romantic and charming atmosphere radiated towards me through the phone screen. I really couldn't eat the noodles in front of me anymore. I made a last-minute plan with Emily, Sarah's friend, to go out for dinner, with friend, and then went shopping, buying many things I used to be reluctant to buy. Spending my own money on myself, I experienced the joy and satisfaction of spending money for myself for the first time. When I got home late again, I found Logan had returned at some point. Seeing that I had makeup on and was carrying a pile of things, he implicitly criticized me for coming back too late and not reporting to him. I ignored him, avoided the hand he reached out to take my things, and went to put away the things I bought myself. Why did you suddenly buy so many gifts? How much did this cost? Logan frowned, today, for the first time, starting to feel the pinch of money. And it wasn't even his money. After I finished, I closed the door and took a shower. When I finished showering, I saw Logan holding a mini cake in his left hand and a bouquet of roses in his right. The small cake looked a bit familiar. It seemed to have appeared in the upscale restaurant side dish photo on Isabella's social media post, e.g., Facebook/Instagram, update not long ago. Happy birthday, Cassidy. Our eyes met. Only silence remained. Logan wanted to see surprise and emotion on my face, but I disappointed him. I pointed to the clock on the wall, expressionless. Sorry, it's already well past midnight. My birthday was yesterday. Awkwardness exploded on Logan's face. He gave a sheepish laugh and began his usual sweet talk, saying he was delayed by an experiment and was kept there by Professor Miller, and that he would more than make it up to me later. Logan used to stutter a little when he lied. But today, he was completely composed, smooth and slick. I knew the immense charm of a white moonlight. The red roses he offered were casually thrown into the trash can. From now on, I no longer like roses, including Logan. In the dark bedroom, Logan quickly moved closer. I directly rejected his advances. Logan knew I was angry and tried to coax me, saying that the delicacies outside were no match for the noodles I made with my own hands. He said he was starving and had eaten the instant noodles I had specially made but hadn't finished. Just as Logan was lavishing praise on how delicious the noodles were, I turned around and met Logan's eyes, which were inscrutable. You shouldn't have eaten those noodles. Why? Because, a mouse fell in while trying to steal a bite. After a brief stunned moment, Logan fumbled in the dark and ran towards the bathroom, his head seeming to hit the doorframe. From far away, there was a sound of continuous vomiting. Logan didn't come back to the bedroom after throwing up. Soon, I vaguely heard Logan talking on the phone with someone, his bright, gentle laughter occasionally drifting over. Each laugh danced on my nerves, constantly stimulating and provoking me. I was sleepless for a long time. I didn't fall asleep until after midnight. I dreamt that Logan and I got married as planned, but they say dreams are often the opposite of reality. The next morning, Logan got up early to cook and gently called me up to eat, as if nothing had happened yesterday. Before we started eating, Logan's phone rang. He instinctively glanced at me. My brows furrowed, and I couldn't hold back my anger anymore. "Your phone is ringing, why are you looking at me? Am I your phone, or your mom?" Logan's face turned red from being yelled at. After a moment of hesitation, he turned off the screen. At the dining table, I spoke calmly. "Let's cancel the wedding." Logan was bewildered, choking on his food in surprise. After a while, he asked me with red eyes why. "Cassidy, don't be unreasonable, okay? I admit I didn't spend your birthday with you yesterday, but it was fine when you didn't celebrate your birthday before, wasn't it? And I really was delayed by Professor Miller's experiment. You know, if this experiment is successful, I can apply for a large sum of funds. Then our life will." Logan's words were cut short by the phone I held up. On the phone was a photo of me celebrating my birthday. The photo showed a group photo of me, Emily, Sarah's friend, and a 50-year-old man. And that old man was Emily, Sarah's friend's father, and also Professor Miller, Logan's Professor Miller. The time was yesterday evening. With his lie ruthlessly exposed, Logan looked a bit embarrassed, and veins pulsed in his neck. "Cassidy, listen to me. I said that earlier because I didn't want you to be angry. Actually, I went to pick up an old friend yesterday. We hadn't seen each other for years, so we couldn't help but have some hard liquor and came back a bit late, missing your birthday. So, Isabella, how is she?" Seeing me get straight to the point, Logan was like a cat whose tail was stepped on, but somewhat irked and angry. "Are you spying on me? What happened to the trust we promised? Isabella just returned to the country and doesn't know anyone here. As an old classmate, what's wrong with me hosting a welcome dinner for her? Cassidy, you used to not be so petty and narrow-minded, why have you become like this now?" A perfect example of turning the tables on me. "Isabella? He sure says her name smoothly." I knew Logan's words had hidden meaning. He wanted to say that in high school, I could help him write love letters and deliver them. Back then I was so generous, sensible, and understanding, so why am I so petty and narrow-minded now? But back then, we weren't a couple. I always knew the difference between the role of a friend and a lover, but Logan seemed unable to distinguish them. He lied and said it was for my own good. I got angry, and he blamed me for being unreasonable. Logan had changed. From the moment Isabella contacted him, I realized that the man I had supported and who had sworn to love me forever no longer existed. I looked up, directly into Logan's eyes, trying to hold back the tears in my eyes. "We promised each other, no lies, complete loyalty. Logan, if you still like her, just tell me, and I can leave you immediately. But you can't keep wanting to have it both ways. After years of being together, let's give each other some dignity. Okay?" Logan was speechless for a moment. Seeing me being direct/playing straight, he began to show a bit of impatience. "I've been with you for so many years. What's the big deal about spending a little time with Isabella? Is it worth making such a fuss? You know Isabella means something different to me. I thought you would understand and support me, but I didn't expect you to be so childish. You've disappointed me greatly." Logan's words were chilling. They were sharper than the biting wind of a northern winter, and they cooled down my always sincere heart towards him. With me? Did my 5 years of youthful companionship, my compromised future, and all my silent sacrifices mean so little in his eyes, not even worth Isabella's single coy request? Angry, I opened my phone and showed Logan Isabella's social media post, e.g., Facebook/Instagram. Her public persona was too deliberate, completely lacking in everyday life. She was either in high-end villas or luxury hotels, and seemed to be raising funds everywhere. It didn't look like a legitimate business. Your Isabella might not be as simple as you think. She disappeared for 2 years and suddenly contacted you. Be careful, don't get tricked by her. However, Logan didn't even spare it a glance, ignored my well-meaning warning, picked up his coat, and was about to leave. He deliberately glanced at my figure, which had become a bit out of shape from crazy overtime, and shook his head. "Enough, Cassidy. If you have the time to be suspicious and investigate, you should sign up for a gym class and manage your figure properly. Isabella is innocent. You can criticize me, but you'd better not involve her. Also, don't throw a tantrum, you're pregnant. If you don't marry me, who else will you marry?" Before closing the door, Logan threw out a baffling last sentence, which was clearly an outburst he had kept bottled up for a long time. "Don't forget why Isabella disappeared back then, Cassidy, you are also to blame." That sentence made me unable to hold back anymore. Grievance and anger spread rapidly, engulfing me in an instant. My hands and feet turned cold, as if I had fallen into an ice cellar, and I finally cried out, trembling. This person who claimed to love and understand me the most in the world, my partner in bed, had been silently blaming and resenting me day and night. Resenting me for not helping Isabella cheat on her makeup exam in college, which led to her getting caught using someone else to cheat, and both of them being expelled. In his eyes, his Isabella's future was a future, as important as a mountain. And my future was as light as a feather, insignificant? But did he forget that it was me who gave up a promising future to attend a regular state university with him, relying on scholarship to support him? It was also me who, for his dream of graduate school, gave up my grad school application spot to work hard and earn money to support him. How could he have the nerve to say that blaming sentence? Anyone could blame me, but only Logan had no right. He would pay for what he said today. 5 years ago, on the night of our high school graduation ceremony, Logan confessed his love to me in front of everyone on the field. "Cassidy, you've been an orphan for many years. I don't want you to be alone anymore. Be my girlfriend, let me protect you." At that moment, he was full of affection, as if a ray of light pierced through the wall around my heart, putting a perfect end to our 3 years as deskmates. 3 years as deskmates, despite the unexpected arrival of Isabella, we eventually ended up together. From then on, I, who had always been a loner, opened up my heart for the first time. It's just that both of us came from poor families. He had both parents, but they were long divorced. Neither of them paid much attention to Logan, only occasionally sending him some living expenses. He had been raised by his grandmother all these years. During the SATs, Logan's performance was average. As for me, I had diarrhea and performed poorly. In the end, I missed out on the Ivy League. This caused the teachers who had high hopes for me to sigh with regret. So, when filling out my college applications, I, who could have applied to a top university, chose to apply to the same state university as Logan. This was only because he begged me repeatedly, saying that if I applied to the regular college he had chosen with my grades, the school would give an $80,000 bonus, and there would be generous scholarship every year after that. This way, not only could we be together every day and not suffer from a long-distance relationship, but we could also cover all our college expenses. I didn't just see him as a boyfriend, but as family. So I chose to compromise, even though I knew what that choice meant for me. 10 years of hard study, wasted. But I was born alone, with no real attachments. Now having someone to walk with, sharing warmth and cold, seemed not bad either. When I got to college, I discovered that Isabella was also at this school. I didn't believe Logan's explanation that it was a coincidence, but I didn't make a big deal out of it. Even though they became friends again, I felt that whether you choose or are chosen, you should be firm in that choice. To continue receiving the scholarship and support both of us, I spent all my time outside of classes in the library, sacrificing entertainment time, and became a student council officer. Isabella was still busy socializing, dressing up every day, so she always failed her classes. She failed her makeup exam several times. If she failed another makeup exam, she wouldn't get her bachelor's degree because she hadn't earned enough credits. That night, Logan said Isabella had cried for a long time and wanted me to help her cheat on her makeup exam. He said that since I was a student council officer and liked by the teachers, even if I were caught, it probably wouldn't be a big problem. My eyes widened in disbelief that Logan would say something like that. Anyone who had gone to college knew that you could fail classes, skip classes, but you absolutely could not cheat on exams. Once caught, the consequences were severe. For his white moonlight, Logan was willing to gamble my future. That time, I sternly refused Logan's unreasonable request and warned him not to play with fire. Who knew? Logan outwardly agreed not to mess around. But he still found Chloe, Logan's fan, a little fan of his, to take Isabella's makeup exam for her. As a result, the cheating incident was discovered. Logan frantically came to me asking for help, and I didn't refuse, not for Isabella, but for that silly Chloe, Logan's fan. Unfortunately, begging was useless. Chloe, Logan's fan, and Isabella were both publicly denounced and expelled by the school. Isabella disappeared completely after being expelled. Chloe, Logan's fan, came looking for Logan several times to make a scene, but Logan avoided her. In the end, it was me who used my scholarship to give Chloe, Logan's fan, $10,000 in compensation and promised to help her find a job through my connections. Only then did the matter die down. Otherwise, if she had made a scene, Logan, as the organizer of the cheating, would inevitably have been implicated. After the incident, Logan looked at me with deep affection, expressing his boundless gratitude, treating me like a godsend. Little did I expect that he had resented me from that moment on. Later, because of my excellent grades, I received a rare grad school application spot. But Logan, who was previously only an average student, suddenly became diligent and said his dream was to go to graduate school. He hinted several times that if both of us went to graduate school, we wouldn't have money to live. During that time, he pestered me persistently, hoping I could fulfill his dream. The price, naturally, was that I would give up my grad school application spot and enter the workforce. That period also coincided with troubles in his family, which even affected him. I was afraid he would become depressed, so I reluctantly fulfilled his wish. When he learned of my decision, he wept with joy, hugging me and saying, "Cassidy, wait for me a few more years. When I succeed in graduate school and become successful, I will definitely take good care of you. Women don't need to be so ambitious, just focus on home and family from now on. I didn't pay too much attention to that sentence at the time, thinking it was just his male chauvinism. Now it seems that when Logan made me give up my grad school application spot, there might have been a hint of revenge mixed in. Thinking about this made my heart ache. I cried for over an hour, my eyes swollen, not because I loved Logan deeply, but because I deeply felt that my years of silly compromises and sacrifices were completely worthless. After so many years together, I had long regarded Logan as family, as a loved one. But he gradually took my love and sacrifices for granted, becoming arrogant and reckless to this extent. I hated myself for being blind back then, for being a total fool/sucker for so many years. I should have just let fate take its course for him. But it's not too late now. We weren't married yet. I believed that Isabella, who had disappeared for 2 years and suddenly reappeared, must also have ill intentions. This time, I completely gave up my desire to help others. After Logan slammed the door and left, he didn't come back for 3 days straight. Isabella also didn't come to our apartment to show off or provoke me, like the manipulative, green tea characters in other novels. Just as Isabella's latest social media post, e.g., Facebook/Instagram, said, "Where he is, that's home." The photo, of course, showed that dog of a man who went missing before the wedding. Logan, in front of the person he liked, was truly as humble as ever. As soon as she extended her foot, he immediately crawled over to lick. Isabella was like a mirror revealing Logan's true self. Only in front of her could I see his real face. However, I was already too lazy to care about him. When I loved him, I held him in my palm like a treasure. When I stopped loving him, I tossed him aside. He was nothing. During this time, he only sent me 2 text messages. "Cassidy, stay home and reflect properly. Also, don't forget to take care of yourself. Don't worry. No matter what, I will marry you as planned and be responsible for you and the child." I didn't reply. Taking advantage of the time, I moved out of the rental apartment and quietly hired movers to relocate. I packed and sorted everything, taking all the things I had paid for. When I finished moving, I found the apartment was empty, just like when I first moved in, bare walls. My mood was complex, standing at the entrance of the apartment in a daze. Finally, I said goodbye to Grandpa George. After all, I had lived there for several years and had grown attached. It was full of memories. Letting go was bound to feel bittersweet. But I didn't hesitate, and I didn't regret it. From now on, I will be well, and make peace with the bad things of the past. I became one person again. I learned to love myself again, to be good to myself. 2 days later, I received an angry phone call from Logan demanding explanations. He asked why our apartment was empty and loudly demanded to know why I had stopped his credit card. I was sitting on the rocking chair on the balcony of my new place, basking in the sun, squinting my eyes, eating fruit, and yawning, using Logan's hysterical barking as background music. As he yelled, he suddenly heard a rather rhythmic snoring sound from my end. For a moment, the silence was deafening. I didn't know when he hung up. When I woke up, I wiped the drool from my mouth and found a nearby gym to sign up. Logan was a jerk and had terrible taste, but he was right about one thing. I should really start managing my figure properly. Now, without having to support the pig Logan, I had plenty of time to work out at the gym. I used the money I used to give Logan for living expenses to pay for a class with a handsome trainer with 8-pack abs. I heard he was a Marine veteran. An outdated and blind former school heartthrob couldn't compare to a Marine veteran. To prevent Logan from causing a scene at the office/workplace, I made sure to use up all my vacation days before quitting. I spent my days at the gym, my figure improving day by day, and I experienced a happiness I had never felt before. During this time, Logan called me 66 times. Each time, I patiently answered, but remained silent. Through the screen, through the sound, I listened to Logan's embarrassment and his seeming anger beneath his pathetic sycophant behavior. To please Isabella, his white moonlight, Logan had already spent the little savings he had. Without my support, even eating and surviving became a problem for him. Emily, Sarah's friend, told me that Logan was now shamelessly freeloading wherever he could, looking disheveled and miserable. Only this one time, I spoke up on the phone. "You're sitting on my hair." Except, that was directed at the Marine veteran coach who was training me. Just that one sentence was like lighting a firecracker for Logan. He yelled and screamed for a full half hour, until his voice was hoarse, before hanging up with a weak threat. "Cassidy, you'll regret this." In his screams, I felt full of energy, did a few more workout sets, and felt completely refreshed and invigorated. I regretted a little saying that, making Logan go crazy. He yelled for an extra half hour. He wouldn't be able to recover his energy without eating a few steamed buns. But where would he get the money for steamed buns? Thinking about this, I couldn't help but burst into laughter. I regretted not provoking him like this earlier. Ha 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 ha. My shaking body almost made me drop the dumbbell I was lifting and twist my waist. Luckily, the quick-witted Marine veteran coach next to me grabbed it, That damn sense of security. He tilted his head and pretended to be angry, lightly tapping my head. Happiness doubled. Focus. Facing the Marine veteran coach's serious admonishment, I obediently nodded. Many times, I answered Logan's calls in front of him. He basically ignored our business, turning a deaf ear and blind eye, very professional. Only when Logan said something particularly nasty would he can't help but temporarily take the phone. He would sternly remind the person on the other end to watch their language and keep calm. Don't embarrass men. And this was like adding fuel to the fire, making Logan even more upset. After that time, Logan was quiet for a while. The next time I saw Logan was at the 5-year alumni reunion organized by Michael, the high school class president. And at this time, it was less than a week before the wedding Logan had originally planned with me. Surprisingly, Isabella, who used to be in the class next door, was also there. Isabella appeared as Logan's fiancée, which drew everyone's attention. It also made Logan the center of attention for a while. When I arrived at the hotel/venue last, I overheard Logan speaking ill of me. Cassidy, that person, is too materialistic. I spent a lot of my money during the years I was her roommate. I just put up with it for the sake of our old deskmate relationship. She was only a little good at studying. But what's the use of being a bookworm? In the end, she still ended up at the same regular college as me. If she hadn't pursued me so relentlessly back then, I wouldn't have been with her for so long. Well, to please his white moonlight and distance himself from me, he didn't hesitate to publicly twist the facts and slander me. I also heard classmates whispering, no wonder. I heard Logan propose to Isabella first back then. After failing, to save face and compensate for his vanity, he settled for winning over the bookworm Cassidy at the graduation ceremony. Turns out Isabella is his true love. As Logan was boasting, I walked past him from the side and deliberately elbowed him. Logan stumbled, and the red wine he was holding spilled completely onto his suit. I had never seen a drowned chicken, but for the first time, I saw what a wine-drenched chicken was. Logan was about to get angry, but when he turned and saw it was me, he looked like he had seen a ghost, and his harsh words were stuck in his throat. He thought I wouldn't come. I stared at him with a playful look. Why stop? Keep going? Seeing me arrive, Logan said no more and urged his classmates to start eating. He acted like the main character, completely ignoring the class president. I saw the embarrassment and anger in Michael, the class president's eyes, and then looked at Logan being a pathetic sycophant/simp, wiping Isabella's seat and picking up food for her, and couldn't help but shake my head. Just as Logan and Isabella were being lovey-dovey, I cleared my throat and stood up. Since Logan says we were roommate, and that I'm materialistic and took advantage of him, how about we settle the accounts today, split everything 50/50ths, and pay the difference? Does everyone think that's fair? Fair. Before Logan could say anything, Michael, the class president, was the first to stand up and support me. He had disliked Logan for a long time. Seeing Michael, the class president, step forward, other classmates also voiced their support. Who doesn't love following the drama/gossiping at a class reunion? Logan's face was pale, but he also felt that I had no proof, so he pretended to be unafraid. It wasn't until he saw me take out a stack of receipts, pieced together, several yards long from my bag that he started sweating cold and turned pale. Everyone, please be witnesses. These are the joint daily expenses Logan and I shared as roommate over the past few years. Of this, my total contribution to daily expenses was $88,000, and Logan's total contribution was $0. Additionally, the total amount I transferred and gave him as cash gift/money was $27,000. My expenditure on Logan's tuition and other costs was $50,000. The car he drives was bought with my money, totaling $60,000. I paid for the gas and other expenses, but since we were deskmates, I'll give him a friendship discount and round that down to $0. In total, I spent $225,000 on Logan, and Logan himself covered $0. This includes $50,000 for rent, which split 50/50ths is $25,000 each. Food costs were $40,000, 50/50ths is $20,000 each. Calculated this way, you still owe me $180,000 in total debt/money owed. All these expenses are supported by receipts and payment records, which I have had notarized, evidence. Logan, my good roommate, I lent you $180,000. So much time has passed, and I won't charge you interest. If you don't pay me back soon, expect a court summons. What Logan didn't realize was that I was used to living frugally and had a habit of keeping track of expenses and collecting receipts. I had been wondering how to get back what I had spent before, as it's hard to settle accounts between boyfriends and girlfriends. Unexpectedly, this idiot publicly gave me such a great opportunity. Truly the 2023 best roommate in the generic American town/city setting. When I finished presenting this, everyone couldn't help but take a deep breath. The way everyone looked at Logan couldn't help but show a bit of contempt. Living offer/freeloading and then turning the tables? He was truly despicable. Logan wanted to renege, but with so many classmates present, especially his Isabella goddess nearby, he couldn't bring himself to lose face. He just puffed out his chest and waved his hand. It's such a small amount of money. You think I'd welch on you? I'll pay you back after I marry Isabella next week. Okay. I shook the phone in my hand. I've already recorded this on video as proof. If you don't pay by the deadline, I'll see you in court. Having gotten back the money I had wasted on Logan over the years, I was in a great mood and ate with gusto. But Logan, across from me, was no longer fawning like before. Our old classmates only knew we got together at the high school graduation ceremony and didn't know about our cohabitation afterward. Since Logan lied, I was happy to go along with it. After eating and drinking our fill, Logan suggested going to a karaoke bar to sing. My purpose was achieved, and I was too lazy to stay. But just as I was about to leave, Logan suddenly dropped to his knees, kneeling before Isabella. He looks like a dog. In this situation, some blunt woman in the class whispered. I also scoffed. Didn't he say a man shouldn't grovel easily? See remarks, that he couldn't kneel easily? Logan pulled out the diamond ring, his eyes full of deep affection, holding it up with both hands. This didn't look like a proposal, it looked more like a humble tribute and surrender. When Isabella accepted the diamond ring, Logan was as happy as a child. He publicly kissed Isabella. Only I saw the fleeting look of disgust and resistance in Isabella's eyes. After the kiss, Logan looked at me smugly. A gasp rang out. Logan thought everyone was cheering for him, but when he saw the tall, handsome man putting a coat over me, his expression froze. It was Ethan, Marine veteran coach, coming to pick me up. Dressed in a suit, he exuded masculinity and handsomeness. He had an aura that completely outshone Logan by miles, making many female classmates' eyes light up. Even Isabella couldn't help but take a few extra glances at Ethan, Marine veteran coach. This scene made Logan somewhat frantic. I intimately linked my arm with Ethan, Marine veteran coach, and walked away grandly, under the envious and resentful gazes of the crowd. When we were far away, Ethan, Marine veteran coach, released me and, with a straight face, held out a slender, attractive hand. Pretending to be your boyfriend to make an entrance, my service fee is $200. Please settle up, no credit. He ruined the mood. He's truly lacking in romance. Having gained a lot from this trip, I went back to the gym and worked out for another 2 hours until I was drenched in sweat before going home. Logan's social media post, e.g., Facebook/Instagram, updated then. The caption was, finally marrying my goddess. $660. 000 engagement ring fund presented. When you meet the right person, it's always worth it. The photo showed a pile of money and a shiny wedding jewelry set. That wedding jewelry set looked very expensive at a glance. I knew Logan posted this social media post, e.g., Facebook/Instagram, partly to annoy me, but I didn't care. What surprised me was where a penniless Logan got so much money. I asked around and found out that Logan had been borrowing money everywhere lately. He asked his father, who had long stopped caring about him, for $100,000, and his mother, who occasionally sent him money, for another $100,000. His divorced parents, who used to not pay much attention to their son, now that they thought he was successful, both eagerly offered a helping hand. Logan also borrowed a total of $20,000 from relatives, friends, and classmates. Emily, Sarah's friend, told me that Logan had applied for his experimental research funds, $300,000, from Professor Miller early. This $300,000 was originally what he had promised as the down payment for our wedding home, but all of that added up to only $520,000. A $660,000 engagement ring fund, plus a wedding jewelry set worth up to $100,000. That's a total of $760,000. So where did Logan get the extra $200,000 plus? I thought about it. If it wasn't stealing or robbing, it could only be loans. But with such a large loan, and no job, how would he pay it back? I didn't know why Logan had become so reckless, but I knew Isabella was not someone easy to deal with. There was definitely something fishy going on. Just then, I received a message from Logan. He didn't say anything, just sent a smug, annoying emoji. Seeing I didn't respond, Logan sent a wedding invitation, inviting me to his wedding to witness his moment of happiness. I didn't refuse, saying I would be there on time. But I planned to bring the bill with me and collect the debt/money owed after eating the reception dinner. Something unexpected happened on Logan's wedding day. The bride disappeared. Just like that, sudden, like her disappearance years ago. Along with her, the bag of engagement ring fund money and the expensive wedding jewelry set were also gone. Logan's face turned black. He was so angry he slapped himself a few times. By now, he finally knew he had been tricked. He had lost both the person and the money. Crucially, friends and relatives had all received invitations and were present to witness it. He couldn't salvage this. Wedding gifts, cash/checks, had been given, and people had traveled a long way. He couldn't just say the wedding was cancelled and not serve the reception dinner. If that happened, Logan would never be able to hold his head up again, would become today's trending topic, and be everyone's gossip fodder. I was happily following the drama/gossiping when Logan suddenly rushed towards me and knelt down. Cassidy, I was possessed. The person I love most is you, and you can't let go of me, can you? Will you marry me? I put down the watermelon I was biting into, feeling exasperated. Bro, why are you coming to me, your roommate, instead of looking for your Isabella, white moonlight, wife? If you have trouble, find an officer. Maybe they can help you with this problem. A good horse doesn't eat huitotao, grass from behind, meaning, one shouldn't go back to an old relationship. Seeing I didn't agree, Logan's eyes turned red. He stepped forward, grabbed my hand, and kept apologizing, begging me to forgive him and marry him. I don't care, we're the couple. Today's wedding, you're going to marry me whether you want to or not. Logan had gone crazy. He forcibly pulled me towards the stage. Just as I couldn't break free, a strong figure blocked his path. Let go of my girlfriend immediately, or face the consequences. Unexpectedly, it was Ethan, the Marine veteran coach, who came to the rescue at the crucial moment. Logan refused and was single-handedly subdued and pinned to the ground. As Ethan, Marine veteran coach, was about to take me away, Logan continued to cling to me from behind, and I turned around and kicked him down below. Logan immediately doubled over on the ground, writhing in pain like a shrimp on a hot pan. I stuck out my tongue, looking like I had done something wrong. Ethan, Marine veteran coach, comforted me. It's okay. Self-defense, and it was appropriate. Just as we were about to leave, Logan started laughing hysterically, shouting in front of everyone that I was pregnant with his child, and asking who would want me if I didn't marry him. Suddenly, we were surrounded by onlookers. Ethan, Marine veteran coach, tilted his head and looked at my ordinary flat stomach, his eyes wide with confusion. I was mortified. I'm not pregnant. It's actually Emily, Sarah's friend. Ethan, Marine veteran coach, had an of course expression and pointed at Logan. Then he's slandering you, damaging your reputation. You can sue him for damages and a public apology. I wholeheartedly took his advice. I called the officer on the spot. Logan couldn't believe that my pregnancy was fake. He instantly deflated like a burst balloon and couldn't stay tough anymore. Guests left midway, taking their wedding gifts, cash/checks, with them before they went, and not forgetting to pack up the reception dinner to take home. Logan's parents also felt ashamed and reminded their son to pay back the money when they left. The wedding turned into a complete farce in the end. After leaving the hotel/venue, Ethan, Marine veteran coach, held out his hand for the service fee again. $200, you're welcome. I was stunned, blinking. But, I didn't ask you to come protect me this time. I did it voluntarily, and you still have to pay. He took the money and turned to leave. Remember to come to the gym for training tonight, you've been slacking off lately. Sure enough, Logan's wedding incident quickly became a trending topic. Fortunately, I wasn't implicated. Netizens mocked Logan as a total fool/sucker, the year's representative pathetic sycophant/simp, etc. However, this was soon replaced by another trending topic about him. Turns out, during the last alumni reunion, Isabella secretly hooked up with Michael, the class president, and they slept together that night. Logan spent nearly $1 million and only managed to hold her hand and kiss her once. Unexpectedly, someone else got to sleep with his goddess fiancé without spending a penny. Michael, the class president, accidentally let it slip while bragging, and it spread. Logan lost it. He found Michael, the class president, and beat him up. As a result, he was detained. Kind netizens gave him another cuckold, see remarks. Surprisingly, a small number of people even started to feel sorry for him. Truly miserable. Unexpectedly, what I said at Logan's wedding came true. 2 months later, the missing Isabella was caught/arrested. She was arrested by the officer in a neighboring city. Isabella was involved in multiple cases of fraud, marriage fraud, and illegal transactions. Some of the funds were recovered, and the officer returned nearly $200,000 to the victim, Logan. I showed up with my bill and got my $180,000 back. After getting the money, I was about to leave when I witnessed another drama. The officer brought Isabella, asking Logan to identify her face to face. At this moment, Isabella looked pale and lifeless, with no trace of her former goddess demeanor. Logan was furious and gnashed his teeth with hatred towards this woman he had loved so deeply. Taking advantage of the officer's inattention, he rushed forward and gave Isabella a direct hit to the face. Screams. Wild laughter. The scene became chaotic for a moment. Logan was restrained, but Isabella spat out a mouthful of blood and looked at Logan with disdain. Don't pretend to be so affectionate. Back then, during the SATs, you were afraid Cassidy's grades would be too outstanding for you to a toad wanting to eat swan meat, see remarks. So you didn't hesitate to tamper with food/drugging her food, causing her to have diarrhea during the SATs and miss getting into the Ivy League. Then you tricked her with smooth talk into going to the same school as you, and shamelessly used her scholarship. You're just a sneaky scoundrel who only knows living off her slash freeloading, utterly useless. You're not even fit to tie my shoes, yet you act like a toad wanting to eat swan meat, C remarks. Scoff. Hearing this, Logan's face changed drastically. How did you know? Unexpectedly, I was suddenly following the drama slash gossiping about something involving myself. It was just so absurd. I wondered why I had unexplained continuous stomach pains during the SATs back then. And how Logan had been especially attentive, buying me food those few days. With that kind of scheming and calculation, it's a shame he didn't go act as an eunuch in a TV drama. I raised my hand and shouted, "Officer, I am the victim she is talking about. I want to sue him for fraud and attempted harm. My youth was wasted," C remarks. "I demand compensation." And so, Logan, who had only recently been released, was detained again. He had to give me a public apology and, in addition to what I had already recovered, pay me another $100,000 in damages. The car, which I had sold to him for $60,000 and included in the previous debt/money owed recovery, was now returned to me for $50,000, back in my possession. The remaining $20,000 that was recovered and returned to Logan was also awarded to me by the court. He still owed me $30,000. It seems I will remain his creditor for a while longer. 6 months later, under the strict training/guidance, C remarks, of Ethan, Marine veteran coach, my figure was in perfect shape, C remarks. Without Logan, that parasite, and spending money on myself, I was in better and better condition. I found a high-paying job and, in my capacity as a bookworm, successfully passed the graduate school entrance exam while working and will soon be going abroad for a year of study. The eve before going abroad, I was waiting for Ethan, Marine veteran coach, at a restaurant. We had been officially dating for 3 months. Today, he was seeing me off. Ethan, Marine veteran coach, hadn't arrived yet, but I ran into Logan at the restaurant. He was wearing a server's uniform and looked a bit malnourished. Seeing me, Logan's eyes lit up, seemingly surprised that I was living so well and looking so radiant after leaving him. After a moment's hesitation, he still mustered the courage to walk towards me. "Cassidy, I almost didn't recognize you. You look so good. I was blind before, you see, us." Seeing him trying to reminisce about old times, I cut him off without hesitation, either give me the menu, or pay me back. Logan didn't expect me to be so heartless and continued talking about our past together. He spoke of his misfortunes. His research grant was embezzled and lost, and Logan's master's degree was revoked. His parents, seeing their son had lost his standing, decided to cut ties and chased him to get back the $200,000 they had lent him. He couldn't repay his loans, and because his reputation was ruined and he was infamous/notorious, big companies wouldn't hire him. He could only work at this restaurant to earn a living, becoming a infamous/notorious figurehead. He also said he's been having the same dream lately, about a middle-aged couple with a 300-gene daughter who said they received the engagement ring fund he burned and wanted to marry their daughter to him. I smacked my lips, enjoying the story immensely. However, just as Logan was crying about his misery, he was ruthlessly pushed aside by my boyfriend. "Excuse me, you're blocking my seat." Ethan, Marine veteran coach, had arrived. Seeing him, I changed my cold expression and instantly beamed with a smile. Ethan, Marine veteran coach, snapped his fingers, and romantic music filled the restaurant. He knelt on one knee and handed me 2 cards. Getting straight to the point. "Cassidy, this card has $200,000 in it, all of my savings, and it's my engagement ring fund for you. This card has $100,000, which my mom specially prepared for you as family, acting as bride's family," C remarks. "Cassidy, I used to protect the country, now I'll protect you. Will you marry me?" Seeing this scene, Logan was greatly stimulated and walked away looking dejected. In the restaurant, sounds of congratulatory cheers erupted. And I was already in tears. I thought I was destined to be alone for the rest of my life, with no one to walk with. Unexpectedly, in him, I truly felt the love of family. This is what family is. They won't bully or exploit you because you're an orphan. They will only love you more. I pulled Ethan, Marine veteran coach, up, stood on my tiptoes, and kissed him directly. 1 minute later, Ethan's face was as red as a ripe fruit, but his eyes were still wide, foolishly waiting for my answer. I didn't expect him, usually so cold and serious, to have such a shy and adorable side. "Silly." I gave a soft huff, and said seriously, "I will. But you have to answer one question first." Ethan was so happy he was dancing, and asked me seriously what the question was. "What's your name?" We had known each other for half a year and been dating for 3 months. I had gotten so used to calling him Marine veteran coach that I didn't even know his name. "My name is Ethan." Ethan means eternally loving Cassidy.